Hello, and we are back, guys. Took a day off yesterday just to go get my head around everything after that crazy Sunday, a very busy Sunday for the channel, obviously for myself, lots of podcasts, obviously videos, game live streams, and so much content out there. So look, took a day off, back at it today, building up towards the possible game on Wednesday, and it is a possible game on Wednesday. There is a risk of a call-off, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to explain that comment that I put on the slide at the start of the video. I'm a better manager than Groundsman. That's something that Phillipe Clement actually said. You know what? I actually think Phillipe Clement was probably going to be a very good groundsman, if I'm being honest with you. He's probably going to be amazing at that as well. He's pretty amazing at everything after all, isn't he? Really, really good at stuff like that. That's just him, isn't he? He's just an all-round superstar, absolute genius, superstar with what he does, with everything he does. So what can we say? Right, so look, the game on Sunday, final reflections, guys, final reflections. We got out of jail. We got out of jail. Awful first half, genuinely dreadful first half, probably the worst I've seen Rangers play under Phillipe Clement in a long time. Really, really bad indeed. But look, at the end of the day, we came out with a draw, and I think, you know, there's been an awful lot of criticism of Rangers celebrating. I don't think it was celebrating. I think it was more thanking the fans. If you saw Phillipe Clement at the end, he did that to the fact that the players tell him to go round and thank the fans. It was more thanking the fans, I think, for sticking with us to the end rather than celebrating a draw, which many people are kind of insinuating that it was, you know, kind of using that as a bit of a term of insult, if you want, which I think is very unfair, if I'm being wholly honest on that. Look, I thought the second half was a big improvement on it. I think, you know, the second half they played a whole lot better. You know, Matondo's goal was absolutely outstanding. I think Seema made a huge difference when he came on. He played very, very well indeed. So look, it is going to be a difficult one on Wednesday night. I don't think it's so much in terms of the opponent. I don't really rate Dundee. They lost to Motherwell the other day 3-2. What's going to make it difficult more is over the fitness of the players, the risk you're going to have to take with some players to play them on that surface. I don't know if any of you have seen the highlights of the Motherwell Dundee game. I don't usually watch highlights of the Scottish games, but I decided to watch that one just because I wanted to look at the pitch, and the pitch is absolutely shocking. It reminds me of a non-league football ground and a non-league football pitch down here in England. It really does. It is absolutely shocking, that Dens Park pitch. How that team is allowed in the top flight, God only knows. It is genuinely shocking, and I think something needs to be done about it. Anyway, what's the call-off risk? That's the first of all. Let's deal with this. So, look, this game was postponed previously because of heavy rainfall. The game against Motherwell was at risk again of heavy rain because of the pitch. It went ahead, even though there was a risk. Stuart Kettlewell, the Motherwell manager, was not at all happy with the condition of the pitch. In fact, Motherwell did tweet out on Saturday, didn't they, that they were worried about players at serious risk of injury on that surface. And I think, you know, that is one thing that has to be taken into account. When a pitch is that badly unplayable, should the SFA and the SPFL be insisting that players actually play on pitches like that? I don't think they should. I think they should be taking measures against those clubs, and also perhaps, you know, insisting on fixture switches, or even on games we played on neutral territory. I think that genuinely could be an answer. But according to the reports and according to the Met Office, Rangers will have an anxious wait to discover whether or not our game against Dundee will go ahead. Now, we are obviously going to play on Wednesday evening, or meant to play on Wednesday evening, in that game that is a rearranged game from that awful game, from that game that was called off. Don Robertson, who was the then referee, called the game off because the pitch was absolutely unplayable. The ball wouldn't roll, the ball wouldn't bounce, the pitch had massive puddles on it because the standard of drainage, the standard of undersoil heating at Dens Park is absolutely appalling. Now, according to reports, the Met Office is forecasting heavy rain and has issued a weather warning for the Dundee area. Warning suggests there is a 90% heavy chance of rain on Wednesday, which is likely to continue all the way up to kickoff and perhaps beyond kickoff as well. It is also set to downpour in Dundee on Tuesday at 2, which will make that surface that is really bad even worse. I mean, like I said, I don't know if any of you saw that surface. If you haven't, go and watch the Motherwell Dundee highlights. I know you don't usually like watching other teams. I don't, but just go and look at the highlights for the pitch. It is genuinely that bad. It is genuinely shocking. Phillipe Clement, though, what was this quote that Phillipe Clement came out with? I think that's what a lot of you would like to know, what Big Phil is on about. So this is what Big Phil is on about. Now, when Big Phil, he was questioned about the Dens Park pitch, the media obviously want to get his take on things, want to get what he wants to know, wants to find out a little bit about him and, what he thinks about Tony Docherty's side and about the field and about Dens Park and, the fact that Dundee have already had 4 home games this season postponed because there is real concerns over there's been concerns over the standard of the pitch, the safety of the players, etc., etc. So Big Phil joked the following. He was talking to BBC Scotland. He said, "It's about Dundee again and going hard for the 3 points. Then you can look at the last 2 or 3 games and what the points are. We need to keep continuing to focus on ourselves." He was asked about the concerns over the pitch. He said, "No, I have to be focused on this game, Celtic," because that's what he was talking about, post-Celtic. "Pitches of other teams is something to look at over the next couple of days. I cannot change that. I am not a good groundsman," he said. "My wife knows that." Obviously, probably something to do with his gardening skills. "I am a better manager than groundsman. I cannot change anything about that. It is between Dundee and the Federation to see that Scottish football is played on good surfaces." That certainly is a loaded comment from Phillipe Clement. I mean, I think obviously an attempt at a joke there and humour to lighten the mood in terms of the fact saying that he's a better manager than Groundsman. We know he's an awesome manager, a fantastic manager. He's probably isn't a great groundsman. I'd love to know what his wife thinks of this and of these quotes. I wonder what state his garden is in. He's probably, if you've probably got as much money as Phillipe Clement makes a year, he's probably got a gardener. But he is right in one thing. He says, he can't do anything about the pitch. He says it's down to the SFA or the Federation, as he puts it, and to make sure that pitches are fit to play on. And look, it is quite clear that this pitch at Dundee is in breach of SFA rules. And you know what? That lot across the city can witter on all they want about us crying over this and whinging over that and worrying over this. But you look at the rule book. The rule book states that pitches have to be in a playable and good state to be able to play on. This pitch is not in that state. So therefore, why has action not been taken against Dundee prior to this? I don't get it. I don't understand. But certainly an interesting quote nonetheless by Big Phil. Like I said, he is clearly, trying to lighten the mood, but obviously as well talking a lot of sense in what he says. Look, if this game doesn't go ahead, if it is called off on Wednesday, I genuinely cannot see how it can be reorganized again. The split has to go ahead as it is. There are the Euros are upcoming in the summer. There is, it's not a case, I don't think, of delaying the split fixtures, delaying the cup final. I don't know what the exact dates are in terms of international call-ups, but with Scotland and England both qualifying, and a lot of other people, Turkey have qualified. Ridvan could be in there, for example. For the Euros, England have qualified. Jack Butland could be in there. Suter could be in the Scotland squad. McCrory could be in the Scotland squad. There's a number of players that could be in the Scotland squad. So look, the managers of the international teams are not going to want to move back getting their players for the Euros. And that applies across the board, because that would then affect Celtic, who've got Scottish internationals. It would affect, other teams, and you just cannot do it. And for me, if this game is called off again, the SFA needs to take a brave stance on this and say, right, game is called off, 3-0 win to Rangers, end of story. Dundee, you've lost the points and you get a 3-point deduction because your pitch is not in a fit state. Something needs to be done, and the only way to hit clubs where it genuinely hurts is point deductions. Fines mean nothing to clubs. They don't mean anything. Not these little paltry fines anyway. Something needs to be done. Point deductions, walkover wins are the only way to make sure that this gets sorted long term. Well, guys, whatever happens, look, if this game goes ahead, and that's what we've got to kind of think about. We've got to prepare as if the game is going to go ahead on Wednesday. Look, I have got my doubts as to whether it will go ahead now, reading these reports. you know, we will build up obviously over the next few days on the channel. Looking forward to what is going on. We're looking to the teams and what, you know, looking to the build up, looking to who plays, who shouldn't play. I just wanted to bring you that the quick story this morning to sort of start you off for the day. There will be further content today, so obviously look out for that. Thank you so much for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. As always, on the way out, if you could smash the like, and please remember always, we are the people.